I feel a lot more confident in leading leaders, being an example and showing them how we can lead a group of kids or a group of young adults the best way possible, so they can experience a relationship with Jesus.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. Welcome to the 2023 Internship Open Night. It's great to have you guys here. I think we're going to have another couple of people join us, or at least plan to at different points. And I had a number who couldn't have come tonight. So you will have noticed when you came in that you got the pre-warning that you're being recorded tonight. So just so you're aware of that, but it's good to be aware. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tim Cameron. So I'm the manager here at CYC Ministries. So I oversee the team here that looks after all our holiday camps, our family camps, as well as our leadership development programs, which includes our internship program. And I'm really excited to be here tonight to share a little bit about what our internship is going to look like next year, and hopefully share with you guys a little bit about why I think is a great option for you to consider at least, and to give you the information that you need in order to make a really considered decision that this could be something that you might want to do. My biggest thing with these conversations is always that I'm most interested in you doing what's good for you and what God wants you to do, and less interested in you doing what I tell you to do. Although I know I can also be very persuasive in that as well. So that's good. And that's sort of my job, right, in this stage, to tell you just how awesome it is to do the internship here at CYC. Probably relevant as well to introduce Sam Farmelo. So Sam, if you can just give away so we're clear about what Sam we're talking about, because there's two. So Sam is our new leadership development coordinator, which is very exciting. So she will be actually looking after running the internship next year, which is super exciting. Sam comes with a wealth of experience in working with gap year programs and with young adults and looking at leadership training. Sam actually starts working with us in, I want to say, 3 weeks, probably Sam, 3.5, which we're all very eagerly counting down to, which is good. But part of the reason, obviously, that I'm sort of doing the prayers here and doing the talking is because Sam's yet to know maybe some of this, and so it's great for her to be a part of it as well, but also for you guys to see a bit about her. And I'll give Sam a chance to sort of intro a bit about what she's excited about a bit later as well, and do that really well. As well. So just for a quick overview, I'm not going to hold you for a massive amount of time tonight, and probably a bunch of tonight is going to look like me spieling a whole bunch and doing the pitch and helping you understand what the internship looks like. We're actually embarking on a new adventure with our internship this year or next year, shifting up the way we've been doing it and the partners we're doing that with. And so really keen to explain that a little bit for you, and knowing that there might be a few more questions because it's not something that you may have heard about from other people and all that as well. We had planned to have some interns here as well, but we had some pull the plug at the last minute on that, and we will have, other opportunities at different times for people to connect with those guys if that's helpful. I'm aware that I do give a good sales pitch, but sometimes it's really helpful to hear the real version from people and do that. So we'll have different opportunities going in towards the end of the year for that to happen as well. So I think without further ado, I might just jump in and start giving you a stack of info. And as I said, because there's not a massive amount of us, if at any point you do want to jump in and ask questions, feel free to do so. I know we're recording and stuff, but don't stress about that. I can always cut anything out that you want to later. But otherwise, we'll certainly have a time of questions at the end and sort of track through that as well. So what is the CYC Ministries internship all about? Now, in some ways, I'm hoping that you have maybe some semblance of an answer to this, because that's obviously brought you here, and maybe you've spoken to someone who's done the internship before. You might have heard a little bit about the internship. You might have read, hopefully you've had a look at the prospectus. If you haven't had a chance to do that, I'd encourage you to download that and have a look at that. That's available on our website, cycministries.org.au/internship. So you can grab a bunch of information there, which will hopefully just be pretty similar information to what I'm going to share with you tonight, but will be helpful for that as well. So when I talk about what the internship is about, essentially for me, as someone who is passionate about developing young leaders, and in particularly developing leaders in the age range of that sort of 18 through 23, which I consistently argue is as developmental for identity and for shaping of faith and who you are as any other age group, that, apart from probably 0 to 3. And so I'm really passionate about working with this age group for that reason. And so it is really a year of purpose. Often we find, I have conversations with people looking to do a gap year or an internship program, and often potentially what they're doing is actually trying to fill a year because they don't know what else to do. In undertaking the CYC internship, it is really a gap year program. It is a single year program, but it is a year of purpose. It's designed for learning and for growth, both in who you. It's a year designed to be a year of growth, so growth in who you are as a person, in understanding more about you and your giftings, how you work, and what makes you tick, how God's created you, the gifts that He's given you, but also to grow in your faith. It's our desire to push our interns deeper in their faith and really concrete in some of those ideas and feelings and thoughts and questions that all young people have, and giving you an opportunity to really set yourself up for the next stage of your life, whatever that is, whether it be more study or work or whatever that looks like, really well and really grounded in an understanding of your faith and who God is and what He's done for you and how you're called to live and be out of that. It's also a year of preparation. I often say, and my interns get sick of me saying it often, not my interns anymore, but the interns that we have had, that the best and worst thing about the internship is that it goes for a year. It's the worst because just like on camp, nobody ever wants to leave the internship. It's always been a great year of fun and relationship building and awesome times on camp and all of that. And so it's always really hard. So it's the worst thing. But the best part about it being only a year is you cannot come back after your 1 year. And the reason why that's sometimes the best is because we as a leadership team, so Sam and I and the rest of the staff here, know that you can't come back. And so a big part of your year is actually preparing you for what's next. Preparing you to consider what it is that God's calling you to, prepare you to step into whatever that looks like, whether it's study, whether it's ministry in your church, whether it's work, whether it's travel, whatever it is, being able to prepare you not only in terms of those ideas of who you are and your faith and your leadership skills, but also just in a sense of discernment and taking a breath. We know that year 12 and even into tertiary study can be an exhausting time where sometimes the next step is more than we can think about and is often provided for us really quickly, so much so that we fall into it. And often what can be really helpful is taking some time to really prepare what it is that you want to step out, the things that are important to you, the things that you feel like you are called and equipped for, as well as the things that you're passionate about. And so we spend that year doing a bunch of that. And obviously a big part of that is using the vehicle of our camping ministry to be a part of that. But outside of that, we do a whole bunch of different discernment processes and reflection processes for each of our interns as they discover what it is that God's called them to and who they're called to be and live out of that. So a year of purpose, we do things on purpose. It's not just a time filler. A year of growth. I am passionate, and Sam is passionate about growing you and pushing you in who you are and your faith and your leadership. The other promise that I always give anyone considering the internship is that we will not make it easy for you. And I mean that in the most loving and caring way and the most invitational way. But it is a way that we'll poke and prod on the bits, right? And we'll do that, and we'll call you forward, and we'll challenge some of your beliefs in a positive way. We'll put you in situations that are probably going to freak you out a bit, and do that really well, but provide you with a supporting community to do that with, as well in our amazing staff team, as well as with the leadership team of our internship program as well. So the CYC Ministries, the CYC Internship has three sort of components to it. In the past, we've sort of talked about two components, but there are three separate components going forward. And so we're going to talk about each of those individually so you get a bit of a sense of those. And again, I'll just keep going. And if you've got questions, maybe just keep them in your brain or write them in the chat or whatever if you like, and we can come back to them. That's fine. So the first component of the CYC internship is the involvement here at CYC Ministries. So I'm standing here in my office at the moment at the CYC Ministries office in Wanturna. And for those, most of you will have a fair idea of who we are at CYC, but for those of you who don't, CYC is an organisation that runs 5 campsites across Victoria, 2 in Phillip Island, 1 in Nearham East, 1 in Yarra Junction, and 1 in the city. And those campsites operate all year round for school groups, church groups, other groups, as well as that. But as well as that, as an organisation, we have a passion and are driven by doing ministry on those camps. And so the ministries department here, it's our job to run our holiday camps. So our camps for primary and teenage young people that happen mostly in the school holidays, as well as our families ministry. So we have a number of family camps, as well as other family events and weekends that are sort of getting rolled out and happening really excitingly this year. And we also run a whole bunch of leadership development programs. Obviously, our holiday camps and family camps take a large number of volunteers, which some of you guys have been a part of. Most of you guys have been a part of, actually. And you guys know that a big part of who we are is equipping our leaders to be better, not just on camp, but actually to be released back into their churches, better leaders and stronger in their faith and stronger in the sense of who they are. And so all of those sort of things, our holiday camps, our families ministry, and our leadership makes up who we are as a ministries department. And so part of the CYC internship is being a part of our team. So what that looks like is that throughout the year, we'll have what we call our intern development day. Now, typically that has happened on a Wednesday or a Thursday in the week. And that looks like spending the full day or a week in here in the ministry's office. The average day, if there was such a thing, and as with most things, there never is an average day in ministry, will look a little bit like, or has looked a little bit like, I shouldn't speak for Sam and what she's got planned, but has looked a little bit like, we've done some Bible reading and devotions together, and then we've had a time of reflection often. In the previous years, we've had a bit of teaching time because of the way we structured up the course previously. And then in the afternoon, what that happens is, the other part of the involvement is to work alongside a CYC ministry staff member, particularly one of our camp directors. So we'll partner all our interns up with one of our incredible camp directors that run the camps across each of our sites. And what they'll do is they'll partner up with those guys and prepare and implement camps across the year with those guys. It's an incredible opportunity to really see the back room of what camp looks like. Often we've just been doing some interviews for some jobs here for camp directors. And one of the challenges that we have in interviews is conveying to people that whilst camp is what we do, camp is only 2 weeks out of a term. And the other 10 weeks, we do a whole bunch of other stuff in preparation and debrief and planning and a stack of admin and fun and leadership events and a whole bunch of those things as well. And so getting a real sense of what it means and what it looks like to be involved in ministry from the ground up, not just at the peak of what that looks like on a camping experience. So we pair you up with a staff member, and that allows you to input into a particular area of our ministry, a particular area of our camps that you are passionate about. And so that's a conversation with you. And it looks like if you are someone who is distinctly passionate about the camps at Forest Edge or Impact or across whichever of our sites, then we partner you up with that camp director, and you get to work alongside them and make a difference in those roles as well, which is really exciting as well. The third sort of part of the ministry's involvement is involvement in camps. Obviously, it wouldn't be a CYC internship if we didn't get involved in camps. We actually keep our bar quite reasonably low for the number of camps that we ask you to be involved in. So we only ask you to be involved in a minimum of 2 camps during the year. And that might not sound like that many, but part of the reason for that is that we understand that in undertaking the study component of the internship, which we'll talk about in a minute, that sometimes it's really important for you guys to actually take that time to do some study as well, or to take a rest, actually, because it can be a big year. And so we want to be able to make things manageable for people, as well as give them a chance to rejuvenate and rest through those times as well. But the involving in camps will culminate at some point during the year with what we call a major project, which is where you'll take on the running of a particular element or a particular role of the camps that you're working on. And whether that be a key leading role, so a program coordinating role or a cabin coordinating role for those who understand our camps, or it might be planning for a particular leadership event, or it might be planning for a particular part of camp, a crazy activity or game. But the whole point is that you're doing something and leading something from the ground up in the prep, right through putting it into place, planning it, implementing it, and then running it, and then reflecting on that as well. So that gives you the opportunity to really step up into those leadership roles, into ones that you may not have had a chance to do before, but with the support of your incredible camp directors and the other staff, and of course your fellow interns. So the other part of the ministries, CYC Ministries involvement is that we will all go to particular conferences and have development opportunities alongside our staff. We view our interns as members of our staff team for the year. Right now, it doesn't mean that you get paid, unfortunately, but it does mean that you get to come into the office. This space is your space, right? So we regularly have our interns hanging out, doing some study or coming in to help out and prep and do things, whatever they want as well. But part of that, every second year, and next year will be one of these years, we have our CYC conference, which is an incredible opportunity for all of the staff from all of our 5 sites and our ministries department to come together. We have a 2-day conference down at the Phillip Island Adventure Resort. I have a stack of fun, as well as a whole bunch of training and sessions and growth through that as well. So as a team, we'll be attending that next year with our staff team, as well as with the interns as well. And we also have other days where we'll do some training and development. In the past, we've done things from the Global Leadership Summit or other hands-on training things that interns have been a part of as well. So you guys are invited to be a part of those things, and as I say, as part of our staff family for the year, because that's sort of where you fit in that thing. So that first element, the CYC Ministries involvement. So you've got your development day on the Thursdays or Wednesdays or wherever that lands. You get to work alongside a staff member, probably a camp director, to implement their camps. You're involved in camps and you get to come and grow alongside staff that have been here from a range of, well, by then, less than three weeks, negative 3 weeks, all the way through to some of us older folk who've been around here for around 8 years, and everything in between. We've got an incredible staff team that I'm really proud of at the moment, and that are pretty amazing. And so it's a really an honor and a privilege actually to sit alongside those guys in a day-to-day sense as well. So that's the first sort of part of that. And again, if you've got questions, let's maybe just hold on to them and we'll come back in a second. So I mentioned that we changed a little bit the structure of our internship program from previous years, and that this may mean nothing to you because you may know nothing about where we've been, and that's totally fine. But this is the first year. For the first year, we're actually partnering with an organisation called Arrow Leadership Australia. So Arrow Leadership is an organisation that is actually a global organisation, but the Australian arm runs a bunch of training and equipping for leaders. And they run training for equippers for CEO and corporate head leaders, right through to emerging leaders. And now they've also got a program now called the Arrow Rise program, which is aimed at leaders in that sort of 18 to 23, 25 sort of range. And the aim of Arrow Rise is really to do what I've already shared to do with our internship. So really develop young leaders and really speak truth into them around who they are in their faith, but also to equip them with leadership skills that are going to set them up well for ministry, whatever that means, whether it means going forward in a volunteer capacity somewhere, whether it going forward into further ministry study, whether it just means being a leader at your workplace or your university. Because, Matthew 28, the Great Commission calls us all to be leaders where we are, called all of us to point towards Jesus in everything we do. And so no matter what that looks like, whether a title or not exists, that's a reality for all of us as disciples of Jesus. So the Arrow Rise program is a program that has a number of different elements of its own. So the Arrow Rise, they're residential. So Arrow Rise is a national program. So they have participants from all over Australia. The majority of it is done either online in this sort of format, but they do have a number of times where the one time when the whole group will gather in person here in Melbourne, which sort of fun because it's easy to get to, but sort of sucks because part of the program is they fly everyone everywhere, and we don't get to do that, but that's all right. We'll make it fun anyway. So the Arrow, they gathered together for a residential. It's a 4-night, I think, residential, and that residential is a mix of some training programs as well as some time to get together with the rest of the group. I think last year they went into the city and went to the footy. Another year they went up and did some fun things like that. So it's just a really a great chance to bond with these guys who are in the same place as you, but somewhere else in terms of all over Australia. And so it's a really exciting time. Having been through the Emerging Leaders program at Arrow, these residential times are just so significant in terms of my growth. And so I'm really excited to be able to watch you guys as interns see that through as well. As part of that, Arrow forms all of their state-based groups into what they call a cohort group. Differently to the rest of the Arrow Rise program, we will actually form our own cohort group. And so what it will mean is that as a group, the CYC interns will gather in that weekly time that we talked about before and undertake some leadership training stuff that's provided and some content that's provided by Arrow, and we'll do that together as a smaller group. And that happens for the others that interact in their state-based cohorts, but for us, we'll be able to do that just with us in that thing, which is kind of cool because it means that we get to get the best of the world of everyone else, but also be able to really lean into the relationships that we build in the internship. The third thing that's part of the Arrow Rise program is that Arrow will connect each of the participants with a leadership partner. Now, that's someone who is localized to you, who is a previous Arrow participant, whether it be in Rise or in Emerging Leaders, and they'll essentially be your coach. They'll be someone that you'll meet with every couple of months to cheer you on, to hear how you're going with your growth in your leadership, how you're experiencing the Rise program, how you're experiencing the internship program, and really just be there to pray with you and to lean into you and for you to just suck all the experience out of, right? And really have a chance to do that well. And so that's already formed for you. I know as in leading young leaders, one of the challenges is I always say to people, it's just so important to get a mentor. But it can be really challenging, right? It can be really challenging to think about who are those people that are further along the road than me, but also someone that I feel like I can approach and not be awkward and weird about and feel like I'm asking them on a date or something. And so the beauty of Arrow in the Arrow Rise program is that they look after that for you and engage you with that leadership partner, which will do that. The other part of the Arrow Rise component is the readings and reading rooms. So there'll be a number of books, 2 or 3 books that you'll need to read across the year as part of that program. One of them I did have on my desk before, The Anonymous Leader from Ralph Mayhew, who's a pastor up at Burley Heads. It's a great book. And so what they'll do, it's different times throughout the year. There'll be times where you just jump online like this, and we're lucky enough because all the authors of those books are actually past Arrow students and Australian residents, so they jump on as well, and we're able to sort of discuss the book and chat about the book and key learnings from that as well. And so that's again a great chance for you to connect with the other members of the Rise community as well as your fellow interns as well. And I think our plan for that will predominantly be to gather everyone here to do that together. And so rather than us everyone's just sort of shooting off, knowing that everyone's coming here, so whether that's on a third or like on one of our intern days or on another day, we'll do that here, and that way it's accessible for everyone, and we can sort of have our chats as well as a group. And so that's the Rise program. They also do, there'll be a number of sort of Zoom meeting rooms along the way as well, just for little punctuations to sort of check in. Kath Talek, who runs the Arrow Rise program as well as the Emerging Leaders program, is a jet of a woman. It's just a powerhouse of a leader, and you guys will be able to get so much out of the way that she leads you guys through those times as well. And obviously Sam will be a part of those as well, and be present for all those to cheer you guys on in that as well. And so that's the sort of the primary difference for us in terms of the way we sort of shaped up our thing is this engagement with Arrow. Now, part of that, the third part, so we've had our first part, which is our CYC Ministries component, which is the time here, the time on camp, working with the camp director, the Arrow Rise component, which is the time in and around Arrow Rise, the residentials, the time, the reading rooms, the books, all that sort of stuff. The third sort of component is our study component, right? Now, I just want to quickly stop here for a second and just talk a bit about why we include a study component as an essential part of the internship. For me, I love what we do. I love, obviously, I mean, you know, I'd be in the wrong job if I didn't, but I do love what we do. And I see the amazing benefit that what we do has for young leaders. But I also know that if we're going to be intentional about growing you guys as interns in your faith and who you are and your leadership, then also a study component is going to be highly beneficial to you as well with that. And so that way you can engage in thinking outside of just my ramblings or Sam's ramblings. That's Sam won't ramble, I'm sure, it's just me. But also with great thinkers and being able to engage in that, but also come out at the other end of the internship with either some subjects ticked off or a qualification ticked off, which is a real benefit. And I know that maybe potentially, as you guys have been talking about this with parents or friends or school teachers or leaders, you know, the question inevitably comes: what are you going to get out of it? Like, what's the answer? What's the thing? And it's a really important question, not just because pieces of paper are important, but actually it does set you up. And so I feel like when we set up our internship program, a big part of, as I've said, is preparing you for what's next. And part of that is actually the study component as well. So with the way we're going to do it going forward in terms of 23 and on, there's actually two options in the way that you can engage in study. So ACOM is the partner that partners with Arrow and us for this program. So ACOM is the Australian College of Ministries. Now, ACOM is predominantly, if not predominantly an online study component. They're based out of they're accredited by the Sydney College of Divinity, based at Sydney Uni as well. They've been doing online before online was cool. I've been studying with ACOM online for, I think I did subjects 8 years ago or 9 years ago. And so they're really proficient in the delivery of online subjects, both from the way that the content is developed, but also the way they require engagement in that as well. You know, so we'll talk about that in a second, some of the challenges around that for you guys. But two options, sorry, Tim, keep on track. Two options, I said. The first option is to complete an undergraduate certificate in Christian ministry. So part of the Arrow Rise program is Arrow Rise, alongside the books and the reading rooms and the teaching that you'll get at the residential, as well as the cohort groups and your leadership partner, that actually forms the basis for the teaching time of four subjects. Okay, and so what it means is that essentially that's your class time, all that time for these subjects, right? And obviously you need to do readings and some assignments alongside that. But the base level of entrance into that into Arrow Rise and the way that we're engaging with it is that you'll engage with those four subjects with ACOM. If you complete, assuming you complete, and of course you will, because you know I can see you're all studious people and would never have any problems with that. Completing those four subjects, you'll be able to walk away with an undergraduate certificate in Christian ministry from ACOM. All right. The other, I'll talk about it in a second. So the second option is to engage in a diploma in Christian ministry. Now, what that would take is using those four subjects that Arrow takes the teaching component for and completing those ones, and then completing another four subjects across the year, across the 3 trimesters, because ACOM's in trimesters, so across those 3 trimesters, finishing another 4 subjects, which would give you a full-time load, the same as you would if you enrolled in your first year at uni. 8 subjects across the year is a normal full-time load. And that would mean that if you were to complete those 8 subjects, you'd walk away with a diploma in Christian ministry. And so, again, same 4 core subjects for both, and then the extra 4 for those. And those subjects walk around, and I should have had this in front of me and I forgot, I think, or maybe it's somewhere. Subjects in terms of intro to the Bible, intro to theology, some leadership subjects, some practical ministry subjects, some reflection subjects, and some really great content that's really designed for people like you. One of the concerns that I had in engaging with ACOM going forward was how online study is going to work. You know, we have spent the last 2 years getting really good at doing online, but also getting to the point where we really hate it, right? Maybe that's just me, or maybe not, I don't know. But we really, I found it really difficult. You know, for the better part of 12 months, my office was also my bedroom, and the world closed in really fast, right? I'm aware that for a first-time tertiary student, and particularly in studying things around theology and ministry, they're asking big questions, that the online world might provide some challenges. Some of the answers that want to provide to that, and the way we're working through that, and Sam will continue to work through it, is in and around some of that support that ROIs provides at the residentials and the leadership partner and the reading rooms and the other connection points. But as well as that, we'll be looking to, as CYC, looking to have some online study support systems in place as well. One of those will potentially be that we will open up a space at our office. I gesticulate over to the conference rooms that you can't see, but they are there, I promise, that in particularly one afternoon a week or a couple of afternoons a week, where we'll have that open for our interns to engage in study there, not in a anyone's going to teach you way, but in a way that may keep you accountable to engaging in your study content. We'll make staff members, whether it be me or Sam or others that are studying through ministry at the moment, available at that time as well, and to come and sit with you. And if there's questions that you have, or you're not sure how to write an assignment, or you're not sure how to read a book, or what transubstantiation means, or whatever it is, we can engage that and support you to do some of those things. We're aware, as I say, that the online component has some real advantages in terms of its flexibility, in terms of your work life and your opportunities to do things like that. But it also has some challenges, particularly for first-year students in that. And so we'll have all that across those sort of things in place, and we'll sort of be, because this is new to us too, Sam will be playing this a little bit by ear and working out how best to support you guys in that. And if that means trying new and different things, we'll do that as well. One of the other benefits, of course, of doing some study as part of the internship is the opportunity to use the credit that you gain for ongoing study. This may not mean anything to you, but the diploma that we study through ACOM is an AQ5 diploma, which puts the subjects at the same level as any bachelor level subjects. So what that means is that going into either to any relevant course or even semi-relevant course where you can place electives, that you'll actually be able to gain some credit for the studies that you've taken. Of course, if you engage in a ministry degree or any other theology or Bible degree, there's some pretty easy transfer in that. But even we've had guys do through to youth work, to arts, to even using some electives in their science degree, in their nursing degree, and being able to use these units to actually top off and jump out some credit as well in those degrees, which is a real benefit because it means that not only do you get the learning and you get if you engage in that, but you also maybe get to chip off a couple of subjects along the way as you prepare for what's next. We might just pause for a sec before I go to the other stuff. Is there any questions that have come up for people, or thoughts or concerns, or things that people wanted to ask at this point? No. Great. That's no problem. I'm only here to help if there needs to be help, right? That's good. Sam, I might just give you a chance a little bit, actually, just before I spiel a bit about some other stuff. I'd love you to maybe just share a little bit about you and your heart for internship and your role going forward, just so these guys can get a bit of a taste of you. I'm aware that I'm doing a lot of the talking here, and obviously I will be around next year. This is I'm not going anywhere, but understanding that Sam is going to be a big part of that, and so it'd be really important for you to get a sense of her as well. So maybe, if you just want to take that in whatever way you want to respond, Sammy.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tim. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited about starting with CYC. I'm kind of in that phase at the moment where you're finishing up one thing and starting the next, but I'm really excited about starting with CYC. And one of the things I am really excited about, and this is no surprise to Tim, but is the internship. It's probably one of the aspects of the role I'm most looking forward to. And I have had many jobs over the past few years where I've got to work in gap year programs, and I've seen firsthand the change it can make in young people's lives when you choose to set aside a year to invest in yourselves, to invest in understanding more of who God is, who you are, how that all works together. And so it's something I'm really passionate about, is seeing things like this done really well and seeing it being a really rich experience for you guys, where you can have that year of purpose and growth and preparation that Tim talked about. So I'm pumped. I can't wait to get to know you all and for it to be a wonderful year for us together.
That's awesome. Thanks, Sam. And yeah, I mean, as Sam said, one of the primary reasons why I was so excited about Sam starting her experience in this area, not just for you guys, but also for our leaders as a whole. It's going to be a really exciting chapter, and knowing that Sam herself will be going through part of this in different ways through engaging in Arrow next year and doing that as well. And so it's really exciting to sort of be a part of as well. A couple of other little things that I always like to finish with when I'm having a conversation. So this is a weird thing because this is a very one-sided conversation, right? Like I feel like I'm just talking a lot at you guys, and that's okay because you're getting information, hopefully. But one of the things that I always like to talk about whenever I have conversations like this is, which may sound like an odd question to ask, what else have you considered, right? And this is not a response question necessarily. You can feel free to respond if you like to. But I would like, one of my biggest encouragements to people when they come to talk to us about considering the internship program is asking them, what else have they looked at? I would not feel at all comfortable if you guys came to me and said, hey, Tim, I'm really interested in looking at the internship next year, but I'm not going to look at anything else because it's CYC or nothing. And the reason why I don't feel comfortable about that is because I feel like it's really important for you guys to be able to compare what it is that the reason why you're choosing to do this program, right? And the best way that you can do that is to work out what other programs have to offer, right? And so there's a stack of gap year programs, there's a stack of study year programs, whether it be doing things through Youth Dimension, whether it's doing things through the SU internship, like their live-in camp internships or at Baptist camping. There's a whole bunch of different opportunities, whether it's a one-year diploma at Planet Shakers College or Alpha Cruises, or there's a whole bunch of different ranges of options, which I'm happy to, if you don't know where to find them, I'm happy to send them through to you, just hit me up. And I sort of make it a bit of a rule that until you've actually considered and had a look and got the information in other places, then we're probably not going to be able to have that final conversation. And I want to do that, as I say, not because I want to talk you into going anywhere else, because I'm going to certainly try to talk you into coming here, but actually because I want you to have a considered opinion. I would hate for you to get a third or a quarter or half of the year way into next year and go, oh man, I heard about this thing my mate's talking about. It's so much cooler than hanging out with Sam for the year. So like I would hate for you to get to that point. And so I really want, really keen for you guys to consider the other options that are available to you, whether that be even not even gap year programs, thinking about what your study involvement in that sort of thing is. That being said, I will try and talk you into it, right? Because that's also my job, right? And it is. And the easiest way when somebody asks me why they should do the internship, the CYC Ministries internship, I could talk for a very long time, and I do and will and have about why that is. But I think for me, really, it's about balance. It's about holistic balance. A whole bunch of some gap year programs that you'll find will be very high on the educational academic aspect of that, and they'll be really focused on filling you with knowledge and making sure that that's the way that you do. You'll have other gap year programs that might be very focused on what you can do and to equip you to work in your church or in your local community or whatever it is, and do just that without any study component. There'll be others that will be more focused on the actual camp element and doing that well, and just being a part of that every day, and being on site or whatever as well. And I would like to think, and of course I'm biased, but it's my job to be biased, right? Is that we have a fair balance in that, where we look at what we can do is shape you well in terms of those three key things: grow you in who you are and your understanding of yourself, how you've been created, how God has made you, what He's gifted you with, and drawing that out. Looking at what it means to grow in your faith. Where are the bits that you're questioning God? Where are the things that you need to know more of the good news of the gospel? Where are the parts of your life that you need to hear, that you receive God's healing? Where are the parts of your relationship with God that you need to grow in, that you need to experience new things in, right? And then the third is to grow in your leadership. There's no better program that's going to put you in positions that you need to grow, that's going to throw you into situations that are going to, as I say, freak you out a little bit potentially, but also create great growth, right? But the reality is that all of those things, the highlight of all of those things, would be nothing without the community that's a part of it. Whether that be our staff team, whether that be our intern family that we create, because it is a family. The amount of time we spend together over the year becomes real close real quick, and it's amazing. But doing those things, all of those things, matter a lot more when you're doing them alongside others who are doing the same thing. I reflect back on my time as an intern, albeit 20 years ago, through the Churches of Christ Theological College, and I still remember sitting in the car after theology lectures with the four other interns of us, crammed into this little Camry that my mate had out the front of Mulgrave at the thing, and just having conversations for hours upon hours upon hours about faith, about life, just laughing together and having fun and doing that. And those guys are still significant people in my life because of the walk that we were able to do together. And that's my hope for all of you guys, for whether you do the internship, if you do the internship program, is that you will grow, that you will be stretched, that you will go deeper in your faith and have a better understanding of who you are and who God is and how he's called you to live. But that you will do that alongside other people who will cheer you on and support you and be there for you throughout and do that. That's why, right? It doesn't make it perfect. It doesn't make it the right thing for you, but that's the pitch, right? And so out of this, what I really encourage you to do is to have a think about what that might look like for you. To have a download of the prospectus if you haven't, as I send through some of that information about Arrow and about ACOM and all that sort of stuff to you over the next couple of days, to have a look through that, to have a look at some of the questions that you've got. Hit me up with questions. I'd love to grab a coffee, or I know Sam would once she's here at work, to have a chat a bit further about where you're at and be able to chew it out. If you're not having these conversations with someone, you need to find someone to have these conversations with, right? Someone who's going to cheer you on and ask you good questions. In terms of the application process, what that looks like, if you do decide that this is something that you want to be a part of, then what you need to do, we have an application form for our internship program, which is available on the website. So again, you can go to cycministries.org.au/internship and hit that up. There's an application form there, so you can fill that in. Applications are open, so you can fill that in anytime. They'll close for Arrow Rise, I think, at the end of January. But given that's a pretty busy time for us, it would be helpful if you are considering that we'd love to have a conversation prior to that as well, right? Even if that means that the decision is not made till the end, or after you get your offers in early Jan, or whatever that is, because we know that's real, particularly if you're looking at deferring a course or something like that. To have some of those pre-conversations is really helpful, given that we'll be up to our ears in 2,000 campers, hopefully, over the summer period. So that'd be great. So, yep, putting that in application form. From there, we'll get you in for an interview. Now that interview just gives us a chance, particularly Sam a chance and me as well, to get to know you a little bit, understand why you're looking at the internship, what it is that you want to get out of it, sort of have that. It's less of a job interview and more of a conversation. You're right, Beth. Thanks, mate. And so yeah, and do that. And then from there, you'll, provided that all goes well, you'll just need to fill in the paperwork for Arrow and ACOM, filling that in as well, to get all those sort of things locked away. My answer to the question of why I should do the CYC Ministries internship is always, why shouldn't you? Because I'm yet to see someone in the 7 years or 8 years maybe now that we've run the internship not come out having grown significantly, and not consider it one of their more significant periods in their life in terms of both growth but understanding who they are and their faith and their leadership. So yeah, I can only encourage you to consider it and have a look and do that. Ask good questions. If you've got questions the things that you're not sure about, I'd rather have the conversation and have a chew over. Particularly for you guys who are long-standing camp people, I'm too invested in you to sell you up the garden path if I don't think the internship's for you. But I'm happy to have those conversations to sort of cheer you on and work out what might be next, as Sam will be once she's here as well. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming and being a part of it. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And as I say, I can't reiterate enough that we are invested in you guys, and we're invested in your development and growth, no matter whether this looks like you do it here as part of our team or whether you do it elsewhere. And so any way that we can support you to make decisions or to discern through what your next steps are, we are here for that. So feel free to hit us up and get that going. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. Thanks, Sam, for coming on your non-work time as well. It's been good to have you guys. So thanks so much, guys. I'll send you all a message in the next couple of days with all that info in it. And any questions, as I say, drop me a line. We love it.